Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, up, talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.
Pull up a seat. You're now on Corey's Corner, where right conversations matter. I'm your host, Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Today on Corey's Corner, we're joined by a true powerhouse, Kelley Hardwick, a retired NYPD detective and attorney with over 25 years of experience. Kelley has built an incredible career at the intersection of public safety, executive protection, and lifestyle security. As co-owner and CEO of the IMAC Group, she leads with strategy, precision, and a deep understanding of high-level security operations. But she didn't stop there. Kelley is also the founder of Cigar Savoir Faire, an upscale mobile experience redefining luxury hospitality and an experimental branding. She's a real estate investor with a growing multi-state portfolio and overseas, and an investor in premium brand YaVe Tequila, continue to expand her footprint in the luxury space. Recently featured on BET's Minding Our Own Black Business, Kelley represents leadership, reinvention, and legacy. Welcome to Corey's Corner, sis.
Thank you, Corey.
I'm so happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
Been a long time. This episode of Corey's Corner is brought to you by Corrupt Mob MC, brotherhood built on loyalty, respect, and community. More than a motorcycle club, Corrupt Mob represents unity, strength, and service, both on and off the road. Respect the mob. Corey's Corner wouldn't happen without Story to Tell Productions. They make the magic happen. Every great podcast needs a powerhouse behind the scenes. And for Corey's Corner, that powerhouse is Story to Tell Productions. So if you're looking to start a podcast, please reach out. Let's get into it, sis.
Here we go.
Let's start from the beginning. Where you from? Family dynamics?
So, born and raised in the Boogie Down Bronx. I am the child of two former NYPD officers. My mom was a sergeant in NYPD and my father was a detective. They actually met on the job, fell in love, and had me.
So take us back to the beginning. I think you kind of answered, but what first inspired you to pursue a career in law enforcement?
If I'm to be honest,
Yes.
money. I was in college back in the 80s, and I have a degree in economics and business finance. And at the time, when I was looking for a job, NYPD was actually paying more than someone with a college degree. In my field, the money was there to be had, but you needed to get a master's. And
Right.
after going straight through college, I wanted to make some money.
Right.
So I graduated from college in May, and I went into the police academy, much to my father's chagrin, in July.
He didn't want his baby girl.
Absolutely
like that, right?
not. Absolutely not. He said, I did not send you to college to be a cop. I quote.
What was your journey like becoming both an NYPD detective and an attorney? So you were studying for attorney while you was on the job.
Correct. So interestingly enough, and I think I might have shared this story a couple of times, while I was on the job, ended up on a foot chase. I was in shape back then. But the perp, he stopped. I beat all the cops that were running behind me. So he turned around and realized I was the only one that was there, punched me in the jaw. Did not like the way that felt so much.
Right.
You know, guys caught up, but it got me to thinking, and I said, hey, there must be something else for me. I don't want it. So literally, I took a little vacation to visit a friend out in LA.
Right.
And as we were driving down the Pacific Coast Highway, I'm looking at all these beautiful houses. I'm looking at the Spanish style fences. And I said, when I get back, I'm going to take the LSAT. And whoever takes me, I'm going to law school.
Right.
So I put myself through law school while I was on the job.
Oh, nice. Great. I was thinking about taking the LSAT, but I was like, well, what's the hire a 50-year-old attorney after they do a whole career?
Well, but you know the thing about being an attorney, you don't actually have to practice law. And it is a great degree to have because it teaches you how to think.
Critical
it just
thinking.
changes your analytical thinking.
Yes.
And people want people that have a law degree and that can think like that. So I don't practice,
Right.
you know, but it has gotten me into a lot of spaces and opened a lot of doors because of the way my mind is trained.
Right. So you just said a defining moment when you was a cop. Can you share a moment from your time in the NYPD that shaped how you lead or how you've led throughout? their life.
Oh, absolutely. You know, being former NYPD yourself, you have to follow the commander, whether the commander is a sergeant, a lieutenant, a captain, and you can lead with integrity and you can lead compassionately. So I've worked for bosses that I didn't particularly care for. And I always put in the back of my head, should I become a boss or work for myself, I would always want to create a family type of situation.
Right.
And you lead by example. So I would try not to ask anyone who worked with me, and I don't say for me, to do something that I wouldn't do. So if I got the team showing up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I don't roll in at noon.
Right.
Get there at 6 with them, set up. Now I may leave,
Right.
but I let them know we're in it together. So I just feel like in the police department, I did experience a few bosses that weren't particularly my cup of tea, I'll say,
Right.
without
Okay.
naming names.
So how many years did you do?
I did
15.
did 15.
And how did that experience in law enforcement prepare you for the world of executive protection and security strategy?
I always say the police department is a great foundation for everything.
It is.
Right? Because corporate America is a totally different animal. When you are a police officer, it feels like you're part of a brotherhood, right? So everybody watches everybody's back, everybody looks out for each other. It is not like that in corporate America. Everybody's trying to get the bag and it's every man for himself.
Right.
So I feel like coming from a place of like brotherhood and sisterhood and then being spun into a place where it was like, oh, she did it. That would never happen on a job.
Right.
But it was a rude awakening, but at the same time, because unfortunately, in a lot of circumstances with the police, there's an us and them mentality, which I don't condone, which there shouldn't be. It prepares you for going into a scenario in corporate America where everybody isn't your fan. You know, you come into a room and you think you got a squad, you're on your own. So it makes you better, really. You have to show up prepared.
For those who might not understand it, what exactly is lifestyle security and why is it so important to them?
So with the clients that I've been fortunate enough to service, it's not just about executive protection. I think everybody sees the bodyguard. They see the big bulky guy in the black. Even when you go into an establishment, sometimes you see the guy with the black gloves on their hands. There are all different types of security. And lifestyle management really takes from soup to nuts the principal's life. For example, we vet nannies. We do the background checks to make sure that the makeup team that's coming into your space is clear, is not a fraud or not an opportunist, or say. If one of our principals is renting a house in St. Bart's, we clear the house. We go to make sure there are no cameras, there are no recording devices in the house. So we take care of the children. We take care of the runs to the supermarket. It's so much more than just being at the door and keeping and keeping people out.
And I mean, you've had, or probably still on your roster, some very high-end clients that I know of that we won't talk.
Under NDA we can't, but you listen to them, you watch them on TV, those kind of things.
Oh, some very high-end. I know that your company had the BET contract security. You did all the 106 in Park.
All the
with
106.
Bow Wow and all of them, right?
That's right.
I think my daughters, when they was young, I got them. You got them over there a couple of times.
Yeah, the IMAC group.
You saw all of them grow.
Yes, the IMAC group has been around 25 plus years, thanks to my husband. It's funny because my husband.
You know, I didn't mention his name because you know he's.
Yeah, and I'm not mentioning it either.
He's all the way under the ground. I don't want him to be like, yo, Corey, he's way behind the scenes.
He is truly the mastermind as well. But I left the job before him.
Right.
And as you know, when you're active in law enforcement, you can't necessarily have a watch guard license.
Right.
So he did start out with a different partner. Okay. And as a partner, I would listen to some of his tales of woe. So unbeknownst to him, I just went and took the test. I never told him.
Right.
I just took the test. I passed it. I put it in a box with a bow. I came home and said, here, I'm your partner.
Right.
So I didn't realize that I was really going to become an active partner. I was just trying to do the wife thing, but it's been a good mix because we have expertise in different areas. But that whole 106 in Park setup, everything, that was him.
I love it. Shout out to my brother and my nieces. Can't forget them. Now, you've been in over 25 years in security, as you said. How has the game changed over the last 25 years?
Well,
has it changed?
Well, I think some of the obstacles that existed 25 years ago are still there, but technology has changed the game because there's cyber stalking. You have people that can get an IP address. You can't identify who they are. They're harassing your clients. They're threatening them. It's scary. So you have to grow with times. You know what I mean? And so I think a security professional 25 years ago didn't have to have IT savvy and IT knowledge. And we're constantly on all the social media platforms and checking to see if threat assessments and things like that. That wasn't really prevalent back then, but it is.
I know what question I want to ask that's not on here. If IMAC had the security job for the Oscars when Chris Rock was hosting, would Will Smith have been able to get up on that stage?
Absolutely not.
And if he got up there and did what he did, would somebody from IMAC would have been? I was just like, where is the security?
I think once he got on the stage, what we don't do is interfere with production, right? So as in anything, the egress and the access points are what most critical.
Well, he walked right up.
Well, that wouldn't have happened with the IMAC group.
That's what I'm saying. Y'all would have grabbed him because you know it wasn't set up for him to come up on the stage.
Well, if you look at any old award shows, if you look at the BET Awards, if you look at the Hip Hop Awards, I had all of those shows.
Right.
We always had security at the foot of the stage facing the audience, not watching the show.
Right.
So there was no way that he would have got past us.
Right.
He would have got stopped.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask that question.
Sorry, Chris.
Good. Oh, man. Stop my man, Chris. Like, I love Chris. He ain't do nothing. He's better than me. Woo. As co-owner of IMAC and CEO, what sets your approach to security apart from others in the industry?
I think we all try to staff ourselves with professionals and a certain level of expertise. But I think I know what has made IMAC so successful for such a long time is the family approach that we take. If everybody has a nickel in the dime, they care. They show up. You work for any boss and you think the boss is, or your leader, however you want to call it, is not grateful for your contribution, you call in. Right? You don't show up. But I think we have created such a sense of family that people know, team knows, well, if I don't show up or I don't carry my weight, it's going to fall upon the next person. So we create an environment where we care about each other. And that's why I said, if I got people showing up before the sun rises, I'm in the trailer signing them in with my staff. I don't have to be there, but I think it ignites a certain sense of loyalty and responsibility, because when the sun goes down and they're signing out, I'm right there too. So I would think that's it.
So the security officer with the runny nose, he just gonna come into work because he knows.
Well, we don't want this runny nose. we care about the team, so we don't want him getting everybody else sick. But we like that he tries.
Now, we was talking about high level security and protection. You handled a lot. What does it take mentally and emotionally to operate in those high stake environments, because you're responsible for the principal, and I know some of them could be a-holes too, but you kind of gotta like get over that and do your job, right?
Well, you know, when you're a cop, if you're a proficient cop and you are in uniform and you're on the street and somebody's giving you grief, the mature police officer knows they don't know you. They're yelling at the uniform and the badge. It's not you that they're upset with. You have to bring that same mentality to dealing with, you know, wealthy people, high net worth people, and celebrities that are used to being told yes all the time. Because a lot of times security has to say no. And so some people kick and fight, but you can't personalize it. And you have to find a way to communicate that this is what's best for you. But I find oftentimes police officers sometimes make the worst security professionals. And I'll tell you why. In the street, right? You are the final word. In private security, the boss that pays the bill is the final word, and you don't have the same authority. So there's a transition that needs to be made, and you have to be selfless. You can't be about you, you know? It's about the principle and the safety of the...
I guess you have some nice training classes before you hire. When you hire them,
no.
you put them through.
We call it the IMAC way, yeah. They all get the briefing, for sure.
Last security question. How do you balance safety with creating seamless luxury experiences for the clients?
There's a lot of stuff that the clients don't see. That doesn't mean that it's not roughshod behind, but by the time they walk through, those things have been, they've been smoothed out. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's easy. And I think when the light goes on, it's time to go. As long as the client comes through and doesn't see, it doesn't matter how many times you got to go through it to get it right.
Right,
So just
right.
as long as they don't see it,
Okay.
yeah, easy
I
enough.
love it. What inspired you to launch Cigar Savoir Faire?
Okay, so it's a couple of things. So as I said, I work with my husband in the security firm, and anybody who is married and also a business partner knows that that can be stressful. You know, you're together all the time.
Right.
I've been smoking cigars since I was in my 20s. Not often, but I do enjoy a good steak. Working in the NBA and working so closely with all the athletes, I recognize that what they lack is personal space.
Right.
You know, the minute you're out with a player, people want to run up with a camera. I mean, I'm around them all the time. But if you think this is your only opportunity to get a photo or your only opportunity to get an autograph, people become relentless.
Right.
So having the need to look for a lane for myself, taking a passion that I had, which was smoking, and also understanding that cigar smokers are a little different than hookah smokers, you know what I mean, and marijuana smokers. It's a different kind of environment. And then coupling that with my experience for the need for privacy and upscale, you know, lifestyle offerings, I said, hey, this kind of encompasses everything. I can go and buy this lounge. It gives me a good excuse to like move away and channel my creative energies. I can create a private space and I can smoke.
You kind of answered the second part on how did you identify the unique niche in luxury hospitality. Let's talk about Savoir Faire. Let the people know, there's your camera right there,
Okay.
what it is, because they don't know, like this is a moving club.
I always love when I say I have a mobile cigar lounge and then the response is, where is it?
Right.
It's wherever you want it to be. We are a mobile 2-story unit that is hired personally for special events. The whole idea is to create the feeling of a traditional cigar lounge, but when you hire it, it is for your exclusive use, you obviously and your guest. And
Right.
so we succeed at bringing a premium experience, even if it's in your backyard.
Sis, when you first was posting up about it, I was like, mobile cigar experience, what is she doing? Oh, well, how did you get the vehicle? Kind of lucked up.
I did. No, absolutely. So I was actually in Houston. Rockets were playing the Lakers. And I had met the gentleman that originally owned the lounge a couple of years prior. I actually had gone to do an NBA All-Star briefing in Houston when the All-Star was there. And I was one of 3 Black people in the room. I remember getting up and speaking and leaving. A couple of months later, or maybe a couple of years, I'm not sure, I was at Essence Fest in New Orleans, and I went into the cigar lounge that I normally go into on Canal Street.
I know exactly what I said.
Leoncio, right. So I sit down, and this gentleman is sitting across from me, and he says, I know you. And I said, okay, where are you from? He said, Texas. I said, okay. He said, who do you work for? And I said, the NBA. He said, that's it. You spoke at a law enforcement briefing. I'm a Leo, which means law enforcement officer.
Right.
He said, you spoke, and I was so proud of you, sis. There were only 2 other Black people in the room, so
Right.
that's why I remember you. So we start talking, and we forged a fast friendship. Fast forward when I was in Houston for that Lakers Rockets game, looked him up, and came out to where the lounge was. He was working in the parking lot of a restaurant. And in talking to him, he was like, you know, I think I'm really going to have to let it go. And ironically, we are under a partial government shutdown now. There was a government shutdown then.
Okay.
And so he was like, I'm not, you know, I'm not able to keep up. And I said, are you serious? I said, you want to sell it? He was like, yeah, I think we're going to have to sell it. I said, say less. I got back to New York. I said, are you serious? I'm going to wire you some earnest money.
Right.
And then we'll figure it out.
Right.
And so I was in the right place at the right time.
Man, that's dope. Speaking of the NBA, so you were head of the NBA, WNBA?
I was head of WNBA
Head of
security,
WNBA.
and I was responsible for 10 NBA teams.
Right.
Because, you know, WNBA is a seasonal game.
Right.
So when the WNBA was down, I was in charge of 10 of the NBA teams,
Right.
security
yes.
force.
Like some of your best friends are Tina Thompson.
Oh, that's my
which
girl. Yep.
is a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Yes.
Oh, Scottie Pippen. Like, you have like all of these NBA friends. Like all of these NBA friends. I love it.
Yeah. When you are on the road with people for 4 to 5 weeks at a time.
Right.
You know, and you're in Poland, or you're in the Czech Republic,
Right.
or you're in Russia, and it's just you kind of get to know each other. And so
Yeah.
I've been blessed enough to meet some really amazing people and
And
be able to call them
Shaquille
friends.
O'Neal really loves you. I've seen y'all interact. He really, really loves you. Good guy. So speaking of the NBA, let's talk about 2012. You were at the Olympics in Russia and London, traveling with the
So-
girls team, right?
Yeah, so you've got a couple of things. So actually, it was 2009 in Russia.
2009.
And we were training for the 2012 Olympics because, you know, the Olympics are every 4 years. And immediately following an Olympic year, you go into training for the next Olympic group.
Right.
And it was 2009. I was security in charge of the delegation because you're not the Olympic team until you get chosen. USA
Right.
Basketball has a pool of players. And as you practice, they try to make good fits. Who's going to be the best, you know, forward, center, whatever. And it was our first trip on the road to the 2012 Olympics. And that happened to take place in Russia. I think
Okay.
that's the incident that you are
Yes.
referring to.
So, and the reason I wanted to bring this up is because you had some unwanted sexual advances made towards you from probably the greatest coach in college women's basketball history. He's probably going to win the championship now. The head coach for the University of Connecticut, Gino Ari. I can't even say his damn name. Ariema.
That's all right.
Ariema. I know. But the reason I wanted to put this out because you have millions and millions and millions of fans that adore him over this basketball and doesn't know this side that where you had he tried to, you know, give you unwanted sexual advances.
Correct.
And we don't have to really go into them. And he ended up, wow, that was in Russia or Poland?
It happened in Russia. Yeah,
You reported, they changed your assignment.
correct.
This is because it's all male chauvinistic shit.
Correct. It is.
They
Well,
change you. You're an executive over there, right? In charge of the delegation. They change your assignment and give you less responsibilities, and you're like, I'm not dealing with this shit.
yeah, that was it. Was an easy decision, but not an easy decision. My background is not basketball. I will
Right.
say that working at the NBA was a dream job.
Right.
I met a lot of amazing people. You mentioned some of the friends that I made,
Right.
but my core is not basketball.
Right.
So there are people who eat, breathe, sleep basketball from the time they were little kids.
Right.
They go from the dream of being a player to being a player, and then when their playing days are over, hoping to be a coach or
Right.
be in the front office. So for me, my background was law and law enforcement.
Right.
When the incident happened, I came back and reported it like I was supposed to, but let's remember, I was in Russia.
Right.
I wasn't in Brooklyn.
Exactly.
Right? And I was there on assignment to make sure that the delegation was safe.
Right.
So in that moment, it really wasn't about me. It was about, I handled myself. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? But I had to make sure that the delegation was safe.
Right.
I came back and I reported it to my direct report. Most importantly, I reported it to my office mate. So in real time, it was reported. It wasn't until I started getting job assignment changes that I realized that I was being retaliated against.
Right.
And
Because obviously he's very powerful.
right, I listen, state championships.
Right.
Come on, you know
National
how
championships.
national championships.
Right.
You know what that means. And executive or not, I'm still not.
You wasn't on his level.
Yeah, correct.
Exactly.
Correct. But I had to make a decision. You know, I'm a mother of 2 girls. I have 2
course.
daughters, and so I'm a role model to them. And for all the women that have gone that path, it is not easy. I just knew that I had a strong foundation. I had, you know, my mom and my dad, and they were like, listen, do what's right and do what's just. And wherever the ball lands, we got you.
Right.
And a lot of women don't have that. They don't have that luxury. There are single moms. There are people that are footing all the bills for everything. And if they complain and they lose their job, how do they survive?
Right. I'm very proud of you, and there's going to be somebody that watched this that might be dealing with those same issues, and you might inspire them. And we're a week out of Women's Month. It's going to be about a week out, but you are a woman amongst women. I want to let you know that, and I'm very proud that you took this step to do that because you know, being a cop, I've seen so much family member sexual assault. So for you to just get the strength to come out and speak against a giant a giant.
I appreciate that, Corey. I really do.
I love you, and I just wanted to get that out. It ended up getting thrown out because...
Well, let's not say that. Let's not say that.
So it's funny, when I'm doing research on this, I'm looking, and they specifically said, they never said he didn't do anything. They're just saying that it wasn't the jurisdiction, right?
So, no.
In New York.
So let me put on my legal hat, although I am not practicing.
Okay.
You know that you can plead no contest. That doesn't mean that there's no guilt there.
Right.
I was a precursor to the Me Too movement.
Yes.
That's how long ago this happened.
Yes, you were.
Commissioner Sturr, God rest his soul, he was a savvy business person, you know. And after I had to file litigation, I had to do it,
Right.
and I did it while I was working there, which is a whole nother story.
of
You know,
course.
walking into
Yeah.
a room with ESPN
Right.
on, and the ticker across says, Security Director Kelley Hardwick sues the NBA and Gino Auriemma. You know, the composure you have to have is like, okay, gentlemen, I'm here, and so what are we discussing? You
Right.
know, but we settled.
Yeah.
That's what we did. And a lot of times, you know, litigation settles.
Of course.
So that
absolutely.
doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It
Right.
doesn't mean that the person is not guilty. It means let us push forward.
Right.
And so, you know, honestly, my goal was to sit on the stand because I felt as though that is the only way that this behavior would be exposed. Unfortunately, during my journey, my father took ill unexpectedly and passed away.
Right.
And yeah, so my mom was there and they had called me to mediation. And I was adamant, no, I'm not settling. I want my time.
Right.
And I stepped out of the room and I called my mom. My mom said, what did your dad say?
Right.
And I said, my dad said that he wanted me to have peace before he closed his eyes.
Right.
And she said, well, he's gone and you still don't have peace.
Right.
What I would like is for you to follow your father's wishes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was enough. So I came in and I settled, and my mom left me 3 months after that. She passed of a broken heart. But at least before she closed her eyes, she saw that I had peace and I had closure, as much closure as could be had in a situation like that. So, yeah.
Well, I love you, and for you to be so strong, and for all the women out there, just make sure you follow her lead. That is, it's very tough.
Yeah.
Going against a machine, NBA. It's a multi-billion-dollar company that you're going against. Well, you're also a real estate investor. Like, what else does she do? You're also a real estate investor. What drew you into that space, and how are you building your portfolio strategically?
Well, I had to find something to do with the money.
Well, you ain't call your brother. Call your brother and say, I heard you doing a podcast. Here's 50,000. Let's go.
Honestly, you know, with the freedom that came with me leaving the NBA, I just wanted to do things that I enjoyed. And if I really had my druthers back in the day, I would have been a stylist. You know what I mean? I would have been a stylist. I would have been an interior decorator.
We see the Hermes bag you just walked in.
So I think, you know, decorating and real estate investing and flipping allows me to use those talents and brings me joy. And some of the best deals come outside of New York.
Listen,
So.
I've been to the castle. You definitely have an eye.
Thank you, Corey.
You definitely have an eye for decoration. That's not even talking about inside. I'm just talking about outside. Before you even get inside, you go, nice.
Thank you, Corey.
Nice. So proud of you. So let's talk about YaVe Tequila. What do you look for when deciding to align or invest with a brand?
Well, in this instance, it was just so organic. I actually went to a fundraiser at the 40/40 Club. And Joe Cruz, who is the creator and originator of YaVe, was there, and the brand was there.
Right.
And I tasted it, and it was so smooth. And so I ended up giving him a ride back to the Bronx and asked him where I could find it. And I started buying it myself and putting it in my suitcase so that wherever I landed, I had, you know, the tequila of my choice. A lot of people don't like tequila.
Right.
Either they had a bad situation in college, they woke up someplace they don't remember, or when they drink it, it's and they're making ugly faces. None of that here. It was so smooth, and his story was so genuine. You know, he's from Spanish Harlem. The original brand, this is a Blanco, but the original was a mango tequila, which there were none on the market at the time. I don't know if they even have any now, but his grandmother's favorite was mango. So just hearing his story and being in a position where I could invest and move the company forward, it was a no-brainer for me. So, yeah.
I love it. Can't wait to toast it up. So now we're at the part of Corey's Corner. We have this little game called a Spitfire round. I'm gonna ask you like 10 rapid fire questions. You can say yes, no. You pick one of the answers. Try not to expand. It's a fun game. You ready?
I'm gonna try.
You got it. NYPD or entrepreneurship?
Entrepreneurship,
Executive protection or luxury hospitality?
luxury hospitality,
One word that defines your leadership style.
compassionate,
Biggest risk you've ever taken.
to leave the police department.
Cigar or cocktail?
Oh, that's tough. Pass.
You can say both.
Both.
Okay.
They go together.
Yes. Drink of choice when you're smoking.
YaVe.
I was good. You better have said that. Early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings.
One habit that keeps you sharp.
Exercise.
Yeah, you always exercising too. Most important trait in a leader, discipline or vision?
Discipline.
Real estate or premium brands?
That's tough. Do I have to pick one?
Or you can say both.
Both.
One lesson law enforcement taught you that you still use today.
Gather all the facts.
Go-to mindset when things get tough.
It's not about getting knocked down. It's what you do when you're on the ground.
Legacy or success?
Legacy.
Okay. Thank you for participating in the Spitfire round.
That was easier than I thought.
It's Assemblywoman Chantel Jackson. Check out Corey's Corner on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Before we move forward, let me take you somewhere for a second. Everything on this show is about power, accountability, loyalty, and redemption. It's not just a conversation with me. I lived it, I earned it, I survived it. I've seen both sides of the system. I walked the streets, I worn the badge. Carried the weight of decisions that changed people's lives. That's why I wrote Once a Cop. The street, the law, two worlds, one man. It's the raw, unfiltered truth about the journey from the corners of Queens, New York to the 12th floor in One Police Plaza, which is the headquarters for the New York City Police Department. The pressure of politics, the purpose, the course. And the documentary, A Cops and Robbers Story, basically pulls the curtain back and buttons up the whole story about Once a Cop and my life story. No headlines, no sound bites, just a human story behind the uniform. Because behind every badge is a man, behind every rank is a story, and behind every story is a choice. Now, a word from our sponsor.
This is not your average vodka. This is Vodquila, a decade of cultured excellence. The best of both worlds, the true taste of victory. A delicious dyad spirit, the world's finest blend of vodka and tequila. Vodquila, the perfect blend. From rooftop parties to quiet moments with friends, Vodquila brings the flavor, the fire, and the unforgettable. So pour it, share it, live it. Vodquila. Visit vodquila.net and order yours today.
Okay, let's get back into it.
Wow, I feel inspired.
That's great. You successfully transitioned from public service to entrepreneurship. What advice would you give to others looking to reinvent themselves? Because you've reinvented yourself like a roller coaster, like boom, boom. Like me, I just love it. I just pivot. I'm like, I grew up poor, pivot, sold drugs, pivot, went to the police department, pivot, wrote books, did move. Like, I'm just constantly moving.
Right.
And I look at you, sis, you're just like, all right, I got something else to come.
But let me ask you a question. All those pivot points, did you have it all figured out when you decided you were going to fake left, go right?
No.
And that is the counsel that I would give. You got to believe in yourself, right? It starts with you. I went for the interview with the NBA, and so I'll go back. When I was on the job, the NBA hires off-duty police officers for a variety of things.
Right.
And when I got the shot to go into my first interview in corporate America, I was on the job and I was working the NBA draft. I met the head of human resources. He told me he thought he had a great job for me. And of course I said, yeah. But when I walked away from him, I hadn't had an interview in 15 years.
Right.
And even when I did, it wasn't for a high-level job in corporate America.
Right.
So I literally went to Barnes and Noble. I didn't buy a book, but I sat on the floor and I took out all these interview books to figure out the right things to say.
Right.
It worked. 7 interviews later, it worked. But once I landed the job, I had to figure out how to do it.
Right.
Because it was very different than what I had been doing.
Right.
So I think if you're asking me for counsel and advice, it would be to invest in the confidence in yourself and figure it out because you can.
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
Now, being on BET's minding your own black business, that's kind of a big deal. What did that recognition mean to you in your journey?
Oh, wow.
Before off camera, we was talking how it was almost a
full circle moment.
Circle moment.
Yes, it absolutely was, because as I shared earlier, IMAC Group had serviced the BET network, all the shows, the award show in LA, the Hip Hop Awards, the honors, all of those shows we had done for over 20 years. And, times change, streaming companies are sold, and unfortunately, when Paramount bought BET, we did not have our contract renewed. Obviously, we are still in the security space, and we're still a successful company, but we had partnered with them for so long, it was like losing a friend,
right?
So fast forward to August 2025, I had the Cigar Lounge out at the HBCU Classic. Have you been to the Classic, Corey?
Yes.
Okay, so you know what that parking lot looks like. And so you got to get out there very, very early to get a prime spot.
Yeah.
But by the time the day is over, it's time to go. And it is a process to close down the lounge.
Right.
So I just was starting to shut down the lounge. And Artie, who is the creator and host of Minding Our Own Black Business, came aboard. And he looked around and he said, wow, this is amazing. And he told me about his show and said, I want to take your number. I want to give you a call. I think you would be a great fit for my show. And I'm kind of like, yeah. Lo and behold, 2 months later, he called me, told me that BET had picked up the show and wanted me to be the first installment. And I said, wow, what a full circle moment, right? I had worked for BET all these years,
right.
and now premiering in the first episode of this show, I was honored and I was humbled, and the blessings have continued to roll in from that moment. So just feeling really blessed. Yeah.
I love it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, you're also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Okay, I knew I was waiting, Claire. I was waiting.
Incorporated. How has sisterhood and service influenced your leadership style?
Well, it is in alignment with who I am. Our motto is by merit and by service, and service to all mankind. And so that is what we do. We live that. I live that. So we go out into the community and we service, underserved communities, and doing that lock and step and side by side with other, I wanted to say melanated sisters, but we come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. It is the personal constitution that, the whole is bigger than just yourself. And so I have obviously brought that into, I've been a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated for 41 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been able to transition those lessons that I learned not only from my parents, but from the sisterhood into my businesses.
Son. Let me ask you, out of all these different reinventions or changing in your life, what was the hardest one you did leaving the police department?
I think the hardest one was leaving the NBA. To be honest with you, I was at the NBA for over a decade.
Right.
And if I'm to be honest, I didn't leave because I wanted to.
Right. Yeah,
but it is not in my spirit to hide. It is not in my spirit to go sit down in a corner someplace, So I think the departure was sad because I didn't feel like I was controlling my own destiny.
Right.
But once I accepted the fact that it was time for me to move on, I just flourished. Yeah.
I love it. Let's talk about these two beautiful young ladies that you brought into the world.
The best things that I have ever done?
Yes.
Absolutely, I would love to. So I have two amazing daughters. My eldest, her name is Eva Mayat. She is a proud graduate of Howard University. She graduated...
Is that the real HU? Because Hampton has something to say about
And
that.
no, well, I'm sure that she would feel differently. I'm sure that she would.
I remember when she first went to Howard. Wow.
Yeah,
She's
we've been knowing
going
each
for
other a
while.
long time, Corey.
Yeah, she's been going for a while.
Yeah, so yeah, she doubled up her classes and she graduated in 3 years, and I couldn't be more proud of her.
She's in the entertainment space, right?
Well, it's funny.
Makeup.
You could say that, but she is actually a political analyst. Her company is based in London, and she makes sure that the information that is being fed to Black and brown communities is accurate. And
Nice.
she graduated with a poli-sci degree. I'm still kind of riding her to go to law school, and I don't think, because I was out of college for 11 years before I went to law school.
Right.
So I still think it's in the cards for her. But she has a hit show. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but she has a brand called Pretty Girl Politics. That's where you see the makeup come in.
Oh, okay.
So she has married her love for makeup artistry with her incredible brain.
Where
And-
can they show? Is it YouTube?
Oh, well, she's on TikTok. I think she just started a YouTube channel, but it's called
Okay.
Pretty Girl Politics.
Okay.
And so she basically educates her contemporaries and anybody else that's willing to listen,
Yes.
about the state of America, about the state of politics,
While doing
while
the makeup?
she's doing the makeup. Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
It's
'Cause,
fire.
I just see it. I see it.
Well, she had to find a way to draw people in. You know what I
love it.
mean? And so
Yes.
doing the makeup. She actually has a viral TikTok. I think she's now at like 7 million views.
Right.
Yeah,
Nice.
so she kind of lured everybody in with her
Well,
storytelling.
our president give her a lot. She got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
That's-
well, woo. Yeah, she's never short on content. That's
never-
for sure. She's never
especially
short on
now.
content. And then my youngest daughter, her name is Bliss Nara. She is a senior at Clark Atlanta, and I couldn't be more
okay.
proud of her. She's a fashion designer.
She's at Clark.
Yeah, she's at Clark. So,
My son just got accepted to Clark.
oh, did he?
Yeah, he's in
Amazing.
12.
All right, amazing. Yeah, so she has spent a semester in Milan. She has spent a time in Paris and in London, and she's a dope soul. She started her little clothing brand. And, I don't know why we always say that when someone starts a business, little. She started her own clothing brand when she was 16. So she has
Nice.
a streetwear line and has elevated from that. So I think as a parent, my proudest moments are watching them do what they enjoy.
Yes.
Like you asked me how I went into the police department. I said, I'm a frustrated stylist, but the police department was paying more. So for me, I wanted to afford them the opportunity to wake up passionate every day about what they do. And so that's what they're doing.
Well, listen, I'm so proud of them. You, the family, period. You know where my heart stands with y'all. I love all of y'all. So when it's all said and done, what kind of legacy do you want Kelley Hardwick to leave behind for your family, the industry, your community?
I think when we think about legacy, I think it's easy to think about when you're gone. And I like to think about legacy as about what you're doing when you're living.
Right.
I try to live by example. I try to show my daughters that transparency and vulnerability is a superpower. I try to teach them to be empathetic and be compassionate and to lead that way. It's not easy being an entrepreneur. There are no days off. You know what I mean? You are the marketing director, you are the operational and the janitor. Yeah, true story. I was hired by a Masonic temple last summer to bring the lounge out for their cigar night. And I'm talking with them and I'm telling them, there's a lot that goes into running a lounge. So I do a Google Map search because being a double decker, I got to make sure that electrical lines aren't interfering in trees and whatnot. And so they assured me, and I looked at the Google Map search and I saw all of these trees. So I took a drive down and I looked at the location and I said, if I can get the lounge right here, we'll be safe. But that meant that somebody needed to save the space. So there was a lot of coordination going on. Corey, I get down there, I go to open the top, which is the hit in the summertime of the lounge, and there are trees all where I can't open it. So, problem solver.
Yes.
You know what your sis did? She went home and got a cordless electric saw. And I'm up on the roof with the saw, cutting down because I was booked. I had to make it happen. So I just think, for them, for my legacy, I want it to be, it can be done. Whatever it is, if you set your mind to it, it can be done.
Right.
And if somebody tells you no and slams the door, go through the window. They slam the window, crawl up under the crevice of the door. But I don't take no for an answer. And I think when my kids were younger, they were like, Ma, like, you're relentless. The lady said no. Why are we going back? And I'm like, because we're going to ask until we find the person that says yes.
That's right. Well, I love it. I love it, and I'm pretty sure you are definitely leaving a great legacy for your friends, family, and your community.
Thank you. I hope so.
Before you walked in, I was in wardrobe over there about to change, and you was like, look, I brought you something. And you brought me this T-shirt, Cigars and Hip Hop.
There you go.
Let's talk about it.
So, always trying to reinvent and scale and elevate. I am coming out with a cigar culture T-shirt line and a couple of other nice things, accessories that can allow you to take the Cigar Savoir Faire experience with you or gift it to someone else. So, yes, that's one of our featured T-shirts. I thought it very apropos. I've seen you enjoy a stick or two, and we know you know your way around hip-hop, so that was the right one for you.
I love you, sister. Thank you for this.
You're welcome.
Man, I will cherish it. And it matched my camo, so it worked out perfect.
There you go.
So, is there anything that you want to share that we haven't discussed or talked about? Or you want to clear up anything?
No, I like to stay a bit of a mystery, a little bit,
Yes.
I am an open book to a certain degree, if you ask me the right questions.
too.
Right? There you go. There you go. I
And
may
I'm
have
waiting
I may have a book in me too. So we'll
you
see.
know how I wrote this book? I went to a Noble convention, I had breakout rooms. It was a convention, a class. It said it said everyone has a book in them. You
Really?
just said that. Yeah, but when you really think about it, no, honestly, at our age, and you're getting ready to have a big milestone birthday, big birthday. I'll be there in a couple of weeks. Big birthday.
Yes.
But you always have a birthday party, like every few years.
Well, we're supposed to celebrate. You got to say, you know what I mean? Remember when we were growing up? And there would be the sofa with the plastic on it.
Yes.
And then you had the good plates.
Uh-huh.
I hate that. Wear the clothes, sit on the couch.
Right.
You know what I mean? Use the good plates and have a party. You got to celebrate.
Yeah, so everyone has a book in them. If you really, really drill it down and sit down and go, obviously, mine is a memoir. So when I sat down, I wrote this at 44. People don't do this 44. They doing memoirs at 80. But even just the 44 years sitting down, I was like, for example, my last name is Pegues. My mother's last name is Cable. My father's last name is Sloan. For 40-some years, I didn't think about that until I wrote this book. And you know why my name is Pegues? Because my mother's maiden name is Pegues, and she was on welfare. So she couldn't change my name to my father's name because you wouldn't be able to get the wealth. So when you sit down, now I'm just giving you a little piece that I figured out after 44 years. Because I just knew I had my mother's maiden name, but didn't really understand why.
Yeah.
So if you sat down, you're going to be like, wow.
I'm gonna say something to you. And I thought about this when I was coming here because I've never shared this with anybody. But being from
Corey's Corner exclusive. Corey's Corner exclusive.
So when I thought about having a book in me, which we all do, I thought about what would I share, what wouldn't I share? And I just had a series of thoughts. Have you ever heard of the Police Commissioner's Liaison Unit?
Yes. Dennis Jones was the first black liaison. Ray Kelley started it.
Okay. Do you know what they did?
No, I just know he had a black, he had a Spanish, he had an Asian, he had all ethnicities.
I was in the Police Commissioner's Liaison Unit. You know what it really was?
What?
It was an extension of Internal Affairs.
Really?
Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
So nobody likes Internal Affairs, right?
Right.
Nobody wants to talk to them.
So they changed.
But if you're from the Police Commissioner's Liaison Unit and you come in and you say, I'm from the PC's office, everybody talks to you.
Oh, everybody does.
You got a Category 1 card.
Yes.
You were assigned to the PC.
Uh-huh.
And you were able to go and talk to young recruits.
Everybody.
Young recruits who didn't have, like, my mom and my dad were both cops. So I had an idea. But if you are first in your family and you come in to the police department and you see corruption or you see things that you know are not supposed to happen, who do you tell?
Right.
That might be in my book.
I love it. Bring it on. Put it on. Because I got part 2 coming out.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm waiting. I'm 80 though. You know, I wait.
I think you got enough. I think you got enough.
I got a few
to
left.
do a trifecta.
Yeah. Well, I just finished writing a children's book called If I Was a Superhero. I made myself into a superhero. Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. It's
Well, you really are a superhero, Corey.
Thank you. I love you. Kelley, sis, this has been powerful. Your journey from law enforcement to leading in lifestyle security, luxury hospitality, and entrepreneurship is a masterclass in discipline, reinvention, and vision. You've shown that protecting people isn't just about safety. It's about creating experiences, building brands, and leaving a legacy that lasts. We truly appreciate you. Thank you for pulling up on Corey's Corner. We appreciate your transparency, your leadership, and your blueprint you're leaving for the next generation. Most importantly, your seeds, especially women stepping into power, purpose, and ownership. We're definitely going to be watching everything you continue to build. I love you, adore you, and thank you for coming on, sis.
Thank you so much, Corey.
Okay. For our listeners, if you found value in today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share. This has been another episode of Corey's Corner. Until the next time, keep pushing, keep grinding, and always remember, it's not about where you start, it's about where you finish. I'm Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Peace.
Special thanks to our executive producer, our engineers, and much respect to Corrupt Mob for making Corey's Corner possible.
Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, up, talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop, I used to hunt the block. Was caught a